There we go. Hi, everybody. So I am here today to go over the calendar for 2016 animated films, and I have my friend AJ here. AJ, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm AJ Howell, and there's not really a whole lot to say about myself. I'm a writer for rotoscopers.com, as is Rachel, and that's a really big animation fan, really big movie fan, really. A writer and aspiring artist. And
Yeah,
that's.
and you,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, and you have a blog too, right?
Oh, that's true. I do have a blog called Miscellaneous, which is originally meant to be just for like pop culture lists, but I kind of abandoned that. Now it's just basically whatever doesn't fit on rotoscopers.com, I write it there. So
Cool. Oh, well, I really appreciate you joining me, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Some of these films we'll talk about in more detail. Other films, we'll just quickly mention them and go on compare, because we do have 18 films. So,
yeah.
so we can't spend forever on all of them. But I do have the question and answer section open. So if you're watching this or you join in, feel free to leave a question, and we will do our best to answer those questions. So, all right. So we already kind of got started a little bit in January. We had a hot and cold offering in January. We had the Norm of the North that was released by Splash Entertainment. Did you see it?
No, I'm proud to say I did not.
The only good thing to come out of Norm of the North is I got about 100 new subscribers from my review.
Nice.
That's the only. It was so bad. Like, I know people probably think, like, how can it really be that bad? It can't really be that bad. No, it really is that bad. Like, I remember Morgan Stradling, our friend over at Rotoscopers, she said she'd given away free tickets to some of her friends, and she called him and apologized. Like, that's how bad it is. Like, you apologize to your friends. So it's just terrible animation. The rendering is horrible. Rob Schneider is honestly the best thing about the movie. He's fine. Like, his vocal performance is fine, and that says something, I think, if Rob Schneider is your high point in your film.
Yeah. Actually, the title for the AV Club review is Rob Schneider is actually the least lazy thing about Norm of the North. It was like, wow, that's bad.
Yeah, it's so bad. So we'll just quickly we'll pretend like that didn't happen. And then we got last weekend. We had Kung Fu Panda 3 released. Did you get to see that this weekend, or?
I'm not this past weekend. Probably this weekend. I'm probably going to do a double header and see Hail Caesar, which is not animated. Sorry, but then also go see that one.
I really loved it. I probably higher on it than even a lot of other people, which is often a situation I feel like I find myself in. But I thought that it did a really good job of taking the humor of 1 and the action of 2 and combining it into this happy marriage of action and comedy. And so I really liked that. Some people felt, oh, there's too much comedy. Some people thought, so some people didn't see that balance that I saw. But for me, I just thought the animation was so great. Like in the past, there's been like dream sequences that were in 2D.
Yeah.
Or like flashbacks or that kind of a thing. But it was more like merged into the actual story. Like he'd go to the afterlife, and that would have sort of a little bit of a 2D feel, or there'd be elements of it within. I don't know, it was just really cool. So as an animation fan, I loved that. And I guess also the other thing that really hit home for me is it has a strong sort of adoption message, which is something I'm really passionate about and really believe is a great thing. So I loved that messaging as well, and sort of this journey that Poe goes on from becoming from being the student to being the teacher. Is sort of the other thing. I really like that sort of story. It's sort of the final element of his story. And he goes from this in the first one to being this child, basically, you know, thrown into this situation, to being this being a true dragon warrior master in this one. So I really, really loved it. Maybe part of it was just I had exceedingly low expectations. I hated all the trailers. So maybe that's part of it. You know, there's the saying goes, nothing, the secret of happiness in life is low expectations.
Definitely.
So that may be part of it too. I don't know. But yeah.
Like, I totally get what you mean about the trailers. Like, there are parts of it that intrigue me when I see the trailers, like, oh wow, Poe's a teacher now. That's not something I would associate him with, you know. And then other parts, I guess it depends on what your tolerance of Jack Black is, you know, because he can be a lot for some people.
Well, and I wish that at the very beginning they hadn't gone with such a modern cast, and like, but at this point, you know, it's 3 movies in, you just kind of have to accept what they did. And yeah, I mean, I liked this better than How to Train Your Dragon 2. I really did.
Wow.
I did. Because like How to Train Your Dragon 2, I didn't really like I liked How to Train Your Dragon 2 a lot, but to me, I felt like it got a little muddled and a little confusing with the alphas and the hypnotizing and the nesting, and it was a little confusing. And then I felt like the mother was given too much of a free pass. You know, it's like, oh, you abandoned your family, we love you anyway. But anyway, that's How to Train Your Dragon 2. But this is personally one of my favorite DreamWorks animated films. And now the franchise is really the franchise is my favorite DreamWorks franchise for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. And that, like I said, I haven't even seen the 3rd one yet.
Yeah, I like it much better than the Shrek movies, personally.
Yeah, it's like Shrek is kind of hit and miss. Like hit and miss even. I like the first 2, and then the others I can do without.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, well, so let's move on. We have then the next release is from G Kids, and it is really an interesting. It's distributed by G Kids. It's made by Studio Ghibli, and it is released on the 4th of March, and it is called Only Yesterday. And this is interesting because this film was actually made in 1991. So it's by Isao Takahata, and I haven't seen. Have you seen it? Only Yesterday?
I have not yet. I've seen the trailer for it.
With the subtitles. I haven't ever seen it with the subtitles. I've heard it's great. I mean, of course, it's Studio Ghibli. And Isao Takahata, for those who might not be as familiar, he's the director, the artist behind Tale of Princess Kaguya, which is one of my top 20 favorite animated films, and also The Grave of the Fireflies, which is wonderful. I mean, it's gut-wrenching and sad, but it's very, very beautiful. And this is supposed to be pretty simple. On the G Kids website, all they say is a 27-year-old office worker travels to the countryside while reminiscing about her childhood in Tokyo. So,
yeah,
he tends to do Takahata. It tends to not have the mysticism quite in the same way that Miyazaki did. You know, his stories tend to be a little more simple.
Oh yeah, definitely. And in a way, I like that. Like when I was watching the trailer, it kind of reminded me of like the coming of age stories that I like to read and like to watch. It kind of reminded me of like a movie like Stand By Me in a way, where looking back on his childhood. You know. Yeah,
that's a good comparison.
Like even in the trailer I saw, which was actually an English dubbed trailer, she talks about, oh, my siblings talk about how 1966 was the greatest year of their lives, of their childhood. And to me, it just seemed like just another year. But
Yeah.
it's probably not going to be just another year. So there's a whole movie about it.
Right. Well, I mean, if you think about did you see Kaguya?
I
In that film, it's just basically about the life of this. It's kind of like Bambi in the way that Bambi is about the life of this deer. Like there's not like some great plot. And it's very similar with Kaguya. It's just about the life of this character. And I love movies like that. I'm a sucker for, like, I loved Boyhood. That was one of my favorite movies I've literally ever seen. And so I love movies that don't feel like they have to have a plot and just tell the story of this character. So some people think that's really boring. Other people like me like that. So, yeah. But Daisy Ridley is going to be the voice in this, which is interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah, from Star Wars. So, yeah, what I'm really curious about this film is that technically, Academy Awards, it just has to have a U.S. release in the year to be considered. And how crazy would that be? Is if this gets nominated for Best Animated Feature Film?
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't see why it's any different than like Spirited Away being made in 2000 and getting released and getting nominated in 2002. So I don't see, just because it happens to be all these years later, it's the same principle.
Yeah, definitely.
It's still getting, that would be crazy.
And in a way, it would be cool to see a 2D animated film get nominated for Best Animated Feature. I wonder if it would make the studios look at 2D animation in a different way, or in a different way.
I mean, every year that's one thing about the Academy is they are very, I think, conscious of nominating 2D films when they can. Like this year, you have When Marnie Was There and Boy in the World both nominated. And last year, you had Box Trolls, which was stop motion, and then you had Kaguya and Song of the Sea. So they are really pretty good about that. But it would just be, I would just love it if, I don't see why Disney can't have a independent film division and just literally put, I don't know, like I think Song of the Sea was made for like $7 million.
Yeah.
Like why it seems like that would be worth it. It seems like they could get their investment and it would just be such a legacy thing and such a nice thing for the company, I feel like. And it would be such a great way to sort of get new talent and just to be more legitimate. But
yeah, definitely.
Like then that's just nothing. I mean, I watched at Sundance, I watched Snow Time, which is being released in February. Oh. But I watched that. That movie cost $12 million to make. $12 million. And that's CG. That's CG animation. But I mean, that's just nothing. That's like the catering budget for a Toy Story movie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
another conversation for another time, but like the whole 2D versus 3D thing.
I know. Anyway, all right. So, okay. So that's only yesterday. It'll be interesting to see if it gets nominated, even though it's from 1991.
Yeah.
That will be crazy. All right. So the next one is Zootopia.
Yeah.
And and that is also being released on the 4th of March. And they are getting it, I think, 2 weeks earlier in the UK and some other places. And it's going by, I learned this from the most recent UK trailer, it's going by the name Zootropolis in the UK.
Yeah, that's
did you see that UK trailer?
Yes, I did. And
what did you...
Like, it'd be hard to say. Zootropolis doesn't really trip off the tongue as easily.
Yeah, why do you think they're doing that?
Like, I'm not sure. There was like a conversation like in the YouTube comments underneath it. Like, why are they changing it? Don't they think that British people know the word utopia? Or something like that. It's like...
Yeah, that was really weird. I agree. Yeah, I have been roller coaster on this film. Like I wasn't, for some reason I wasn't sold on it. the first trailer, the sloth trailer, I didn't love as much as everyone else seemed to love. And I just have been so nervous because to me it has like a little bit of, I hate Chicken Little so much. And I'm like, ah! And there's just certain things about it. I'm like, oh no, like, because I just feel like this type of world lends itself to puns really easily. And that's what almost worried me, I guess, about the sloth joke. You know, it's like, oh, are all we going to get is a bunch of animal puns? And so that has been my concern. But then the next trailer came out where we got to see, oh, the focus of this film is going to be on Judy Hopps. And I really thought that looked cool. Like, and so I was excited, and I thought some of the jokes were really funny, like the Godfather joke I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
But then now this next trailer came out, and I've been telling everybody I know, like, don't watch it, because like I feel like that trailer shows a lot.
Yeah. What I do like about that trailer, though, is it kind of, I don't know, I guess it kind of confirms a theory that I've had, I guess, because I'm not going to lie, Zootopia is like my most anticipated animated film of this year.
Yeah.
And I like it because it seems like they're going for like an interesting source, or they're homaging something interesting for Disney, kind of like those 80s action movie / buddy movies, like Lethal Weapon or 48 Hours. And that new trailer kind of really had that vibe to it.
It really did. That's true.
And that's what I liked about it. It's like, all right, this is what this is what I was hoping it was going to be. You know.
Yeah, I just worry that they shared too many jokes. That was my concern. You know, it's like we got the wolf jokes, we got the jokes with we got the Godfather joke again, we got the sloth joke again. We got, I don't know, I was just like, oh, I hope it's not like the Minions, because the Minions trailer had a lot of the funny jokes in the movie. Yeah. And I'm sure it's better than Minions. I'm just saying, I've just been telling people, like, if you don't have to watch it, if you aren't doing like a podcast like we are, like, I would say don't watch it.
Yeah.
Because unless you're someone like me who doesn't really care about spoilers, but no, I just felt like, I feel like trailers should almost never be over 2 minutes long.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Zootopia, it is directed by Byron Howard, who did Bolt and Tangled, and Rich Moore, who did Wreck-It Ralph, and Jared Bush. And it's got a huge cast, really popular people: Jennifer Goodwin, Jason Bateman, Idris Elba, J.K. Simmons, more people. And basically, it's about this Judy Hopps character. She's put on the squad just as kind of a token minority, which I think is sort of an interesting idea. But she has 48 hours to prove herself, and she has to solve this case. But in so doing, she has to ally with this guy Nick Wilde, who is this shady fox, according to Disney. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. I love the artistry of it. I love what I'm seeing as far as the world building and everything like that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I like the trailer seemed full of more of those kind of jokes and like animal puns and stuff. And I like that. It's like, hey, that's clever. You know, like all the different boroughs of the city, or like different like environments and habitats and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
I thought that was really clever. And
yeah. I just hope they have enough time to really like get immersed, in some of these really creative elements. It's probably going to be the kind of movie that you want to see multiple times, pick up different things, kind of Easter eggs all over the place.
Yeah. Whatever happens, so I trust Byron Howard and Rich Moore. That's another thing that I'm really excited about. Like on one side you have Tangled, and on the other side you have Wreck-It Ralph and all of Rich Moore's Simpsons work, which is all amazing.
Right.
Like he's written and directed like a bunch of my favorite Simpsons episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and I think the biggest problem with Chicken Little was that it doesn't have like a coherent plot. It has 3 plots that are sort of meshed into one, whereas in this case, it looks like it is a story, like it's an actual story. So I still am a little worried about the puns, and I worry they showed a little too much in the trailer, but overall I am excited, and I do really love the look of Zootopia, and I think that Judy Hopps is looking like a really, really likable, endearing character that I think I will really like. So, and I think that homage, like you're saying, to those 80s kind of movies is going to be a lot of fun. So yeah. I agree. Okay, so then on the 18th, we have The Little Prince. And this is distributed by Paramount. It is a French film, given English dub. And it's CG. And we've got, in the voice cast, you have Jeff Bridges, Rachel McAdams, Paul Rudd, Marion Cotillard, James Franco, Benicio del Toro, and more. It's directed by Mark Osborne, who did the first Kung Fu Panda, evidently. And it just says, the summary that I found, it just says, a little girl lives in a very grown-up world with her mother, who tries to make sure she's prepared for it. Her neighbor, the aviator, introduces the girl to an extraordinary world where anything is possible, the world of the Little Prince. Have you read this book? Do you know anything about this property? Are you familiar with it?
I don't, and it's funny because I guess this is not like a straight adaptation of the book. It takes elements from the book and puts it like in its own different kind of story.
Okay.
But like when I saw the trailer, I'm like, this is not what I've heard The Little Prince is. So I don't know how much of a difference it's gonna make that whether or not you've read the book or not.
Okay.
You know, because I don't think like any of that aviator stuff and the kids stuff, I don't think any of that is in the original book. But I could be wrong. Someone who has actually read the book could tell you better than me.
Okay, yeah, I've never read it, so I didn't know that. That's interesting. And I mean, honestly, the visuals, I was really impressed with the trailer. I liked it a lot. I thought the visuals looked really beautiful, and I love Marion Cotillard. I think she's just got a beautiful voice, so that kind of excites me.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that Jeff Bridges is in it is always a plus. He's one of those actors, like, if he's in it, there's a much bigger chance that I'll go see it. You know?
Yeah.
I love his loose style, you know?
Oh, we got... Mark is on our call. Can you hear us, Mark? I just saw you joined our call. Anyway, okay. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Little Prince. I think it'll be a nice little surprise, and hopefully we'll do well. It's always nice when other studios kind of get there, and when foreign films kind of get a decent release, which looks like this is. Yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah. Excuse the noise behind me. That's some of the.
That's okay. Yeah. I kind of wish that it was in 2D. I don't know. It just looks.
Oh.
Let's see. Hold on. Sorry. Just a sec. Okay. So we do have Mark is joined us in the call, or he's going to be on the comments on the chat board. So this will be good. Mark has a animation website, and he's very, very well informed on these things. So this will be good. So the next film we're going to talk about is another independent film, and it's just a Marion Cotillard hit streak. It's April in the Extraordinary World. This will be released on the 25th of March, and it is distributed by G Kids. It is aside from Only Yesterday, it is the only other 2D animated film that we're going to talk about, at least here. There may be others that I was just not aware of, but according to the calendars that I could find, this was. But it looks beautiful. It's got Marion Cotillard and then a whole bunch of other French people I never heard of, and then basically it says looks like it's sort of steampunk,
Huh.
Yeah, and it's in France, 1941. Napoleon the Fourth rules France, and for the last 70 and has for the last 70 years. Scientists have been mysteriously disappearing, depriving mankind of their inventions. Avril, Marion Cotillard character, a teenage girl, goes in search of her parents, two of the missing scientists. So that sounds kind of interesting to me.
That does sound interesting.
Yeah. And the
And
visuals look really, really pretty. So I'm actually really excited about that. And G Kids knows how to market their films as far as award seasons and everything like that. So don't be surprised if you hear about this
definitely, like,
later in the year.
yeah, like I'm excited to learn more. Like the first I heard of this was like right before our call when you mentioned it to me. Like, oh, okay, but that really does sound interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, and Mark just says, G Kids got Boy in the World an Oscar nom. Yes, they did. And they've gotten Kaguya and Song of the Sea. And Song of the Sea it's one of my favorite animated films. I love it. So that was very deserved. So they are great at marketing their films, which is really cool. Okay, then now we have the 29th of April. We don't have anything until the 29th. And that is we get the Ratchet and Clank movie, and it is released by Blockade/Rainmaker Studios, which I guess are the people. It's like a new studio that is a video game company that is making their feature film, and this is directed by Kevin Monroe, who did TMNT. It's the only other film that he has done. And it has Paul Giamatti, John Goodman, Bella Thorne, Rosario Dawson, Sylvester Stallone. And basically, this summary that I got was Ratchet and Clank are an unlikely duo that teams up to stop the destruction of all the planets in the Solana galaxy by an evil alien named Chairman Drek. When the pair run across a weapon that can destroy the entire planets with a single blast, they join a group of heroes called the Galactic Rangers. What have you played this game? Do you know anything about it, or?
I have not. Like I've seen all the trailers for the movie, and that's pretty much all I know about it. But it looks interesting, and that voice cast sounds really cool. John Goodman is another one of those actors like Jeff Bridges. I'll see pretty much anything with him in it.
Yeah, he is usually pretty good. Mark just say it's Rainmaker's Entertainment's second theatrical film after Escape from Planet Earth. So there you go. I didn't know that. I haven't played the game, so I have no investment in the franchise. But like, I wasn't that impressed with the trailer, and that description does nothing for me.
Yeah.
I think that sounds super generic, and the fact that it's made by this video game studio and maybe they made one other feature. I think it was the Blockade, that's the video game company side of it, and this director who's only done a fairly mediocre Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle film. Like, there's just not a lot to hang your hat on and be super excited about this film, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like generic is like the perfect word for it, and maybe that's just because I'm jaded by space animated movies, except for like Titan AE and stuff like that. There's not very many like really good ones. Like I can only think of two, and that's Titan AE and Treasure Planet, which I think is super underrated.
Yeah.
But other than that, they're kind of not that great. So
Yeah, I'm trying to think of. I mean, WALL-E. I guess.
that's true. There's WALL-E.
But that's the only one I can really think of. But I thought that the Lego movie sounded really bad, and I ended up loving that. So it's possible. It's possible. It could be good.
And that was me last year when I saw the Peanuts movie trailers, because I love the Who, but you don't put the Who with Peanuts. It doesn't mesh. I'm like, and then it turned out to be great. So
yeah, that's true. You can't always tell. We'll talk about trailers coming up too some more, but you can't always tell from the trailers and even the concept. Like I thought with Lego Movie, I thought, oh, this sounds really stupid, getting all that, but then it ended up being super creative and really funny, and But yeah. So I'm not that high in Ratchet and Clank, but I always go into even Norm of the North. I went into with an open mind. I loved the Good Dinosaur, and a lot of people didn't like that. So people, I don't always have the same taste as everybody else, and that's what makes movie going fun. So hopefully it'll be good. Okay, so the next film we're going to talk about is we are in May. This is May 20th, and this is the Angry Birds movie, and it is by Rovio Studios, which is the creator of the game. So at least that's what all I could find. And then it's directed by two first-time directors, Fergie Riley and Clay Cadis. And it has Jason Sudeikis, Josh Gad, Peter Dinklage, Kate McKinnon, Bill Hader, and a long list of other people. And basically the plot is, he says, find out why the birds are so angry when an island populated by happy, flightless birds is visited by mysterious green piggies. It's up to 3 unlikely outcasts, Red, Chuck, and Bomb, to figure out what the pigs are up to. So what do you think about Angry Birds?
For me, I'm very much in the air on this one. Like, there are some jokes, like the trailers, there were some jokes I really liked. Like, I like anything with Bomb. I thought he was hilarious. Like his little surprise party that he spoils. That joke makes me laugh every time. But there are other ones that I could have done without. But I am rooting for this because Clay Cadis, his animation podcast is awesome. And so it's nice to see him he's not doing it anymore. Like, it was back in 2005. But anyway.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know he did that.
But yeah, I'm rooting for him, so I'm hoping the movie does well. And I'll definitely go and see it.
Yeah, I think the animation looks good. I do. And but I just I didn't like the urination joke in the last trailer. That was like, oh no.
Yeah,
but
that wasn't my favorite either.
No. But I don't know, and I feel like we've done that with the sort of the angry bully or the angry guy who was bullied. I feel like we've done that a lot, but I can't really fault them because how many stories can you tell about angry birds? It's like, was this property even like? It'll be interesting to see what the heck they can even do with this property. It's like Mark says. He says, I feel that the lifespan of game apps is very short, so by the time they make movies about them, like this one and the upcoming Temple Run film, the fad is pretty much over. And I think that's true. I mean, Angry Birds was sort of 2013. Wasn't that when it was sort of at its peak? Yeah,
that's true. And like even the trailer, I don't know, maybe this was just me, like the very first trailer almost had like a retro kind of vibe to it, like the way it was put together. I don't really know how to describe it, but I kind of liked it because I like retro stuff. But it really did have like that's an older vibe to it. I don't know if I was the only one who picked up on that or not. So.
The other thing that I hate in animated trailers is the card at the end where they list off all the celebrity voices. To me, that is just a big signal of like, oh, this movie's gonna suck. And I know that that's not fair because there's lots of good movies that did that, but I feel like a lot of bad movies.
Yeah.
It's like, don't do that. Like sell me on the movie. If you have to do the card with the celebrity voices, then I feel like that's usually a bad sign. Like, sell me on the story, sell me on the joke, sell me on the animation. Don't do the card.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'm going to say, I think that's mostly like a marketing thing. Like marketers look at that and say, "Hey, that's an easy thing to sell. People know who Bill Hader is."
Yeah.
I think that's primarily what it is.
Sure. Yeah. I do feel like it's a little bit concerning that this is by the same studio who made the game. It seems like, I don't know. It just seems like that you need like another step to kind of oversee it. Like you need another voice kind of in there. Otherwise, you end up with like Disney sequels. Where it's like it's too, I don't know, it's like you need another creative presence to come in. And
Yeah.
so the fact that it's the studio, but Air Mark just says, I don't mind the card because I look at it as informative because I want to know who the voice actors are. Yeah, I mean, it's a valid point. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah.
But I'm like, just sell me on your story. Don't, the voice actors are, to me, I guess, are kind of irrelevant because I certainly, I guess I prefer more like Pixar, the fact that they pick someone like Patton Oswalt or someone like that's maybe not like a big star, but it's right for the part and it's right for the voice. You know, like sell me on the character, sell me on the thing, and I feel like the voice acting should be kind of irrelevant. But anyway.
Yeah.
Speaking of Pixar, we have the next entry. And Mark just says, oh yeah, celeb voice actors are a total different topic in my opinion, which I also have a problem with. Yeah, I agree. But Finding Dory is next up. This is the 17th of June, and Pixar seems to always get the prime June summer spot. So that's awesome. And this is, of course, directed and written by Andrew Stanton, who did the original. And a lot of people forget that Andrew Stanton got nominated for an Academy Award for not only Best Animated Feature Film, but also for Screenplay for Finding Nemo.
Oh, like, see, I had forgotten that.
Yeah, there you go. And you get all the returning cast of, your Ellen DeGeneres, and your, everybody else, your Albert Brooks, and you get new characters voiced by Diane Keaton, Eugene Levy, Ty Burrell, and more. And basically, like, this story is set 9 months after the events of Finding Nemo, and Dory is starting to remember more things, and she has like a dream about her parents. And so she decides to go on this like journey to find her parents. And so that's sort of the story. And I'm optimistic. I am a admittent Pixar fangirl. Like, so far, in my opinion, I don't feel like they have made a terrible movie. I feel like all of their movies are watchable and enjoyable and have something to them. I think that people like to dog on their less successful films more than is deserving. That, I don't know, like, they have not made a horrible movie, in my opinion. And so I'm very optimistic, and I hope that it's really good. I love Finding Nemo, and I don't know, where does Finding Nemo rank in your Pixar rankings?
I like it a lot. Like, there are others, like Toy Story 3 and Inside Out are like way high up for me.
Yeah.
Like, Toy Story 3 is my favorite animated film ever, I think. But it's not at the top, but it's not, I don't know, it's somewhere in the middle, Yeah,
like, I have Finding Nemo at I think I have it at 6.
Yeah.
So because my top is Up is my favorite, and then Toy Story, and then Inside Out, and then I think I have Incredibles, and then WALL-E, and then I think Finding Nemo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then Toy Story 3, Toy Story 2, and Monsters, Inc.
I see.
But they're all so good, it's like really hard to pick,
Yeah. And that's about where I think I'd rank it too. Like, somewhere around there, 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a good solid movie.
The thing I think that they will have to be really careful about is, I hope they are as careful with the writing as they were with the original Finding Nemo, because that was what I think is so remarkable about that movie, is just like things like the Alcohol Anonymous sharks. That was so funny. I mean, when the first time I saw that, I cracked up. That was so surprising to me. And I don't know if they'll, in like characters like Crush and just some of the things that I just thought were so funny, like Darla in the dentist office and stuff like that. I hope that they're able to pull off some of those surprises so that it doesn't feel sort of rote, because Pixar has a philosophy of every sequel is its own genre, is its own, like Cars 1 was a sentimental tale about Route 66. Cars 2 was a spy story. Toy Story 1 was a buddy movie. Toy Story 2 was an adventure. Toy Story 3 was a jailbreak movie. And so they have these different. Whereas this, it feels a lot like the first one, and so I'm just curious, how are they going to surprise me? Is what I'm saying. Because the original surprised me a lot, and so how are they going to surprise me on this? Is what I'm kind of curious about.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting to see because we don't really know a lot about this movie yet. Like, you watch the trailer and it tells you next to nothing.
Yeah, we really don't.
Like, for me, the trailer really played on nostalgia. I guess that's why it got me excited for it. Like, I think it's Randy Newman's score. I think Randy Newman wrote the score for the first movie.
I think it's Thomas Newman. I think it's his brother or cousin or somebody.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that. I'm not sure. I'd have to check on that.
Okay. I think, yeah, what was I saying now? Oh, I heard the score at the beginning of the movie. I'm like, oh, that makes me feel good. Just a score makes me feel warm inside, And so I went into the trailer with good feelings towards it, like, immediately.
Yeah. And, I mean, I'm 99% sure I'll like it, but I just hope that they find a way to really sort of like, wow, I didn't see that coming, kind of like the way I felt with the Sharks or the way I felt with Crash or, just some of these things. So I hope they surprise me a little bit. And Mark had a couple comments. He says, I find it interesting that Idris Elba is in this too, so he's in both a Disney animation and a Pixar animation film for this year. So Crossing Water, that's very exciting. And then he also says, yeah, Pixar hasn't made a horrible film, and that Toy Story 4 is said to be a rom-com, which I'm excited about Toy Story 4, and a lot of people aren't, but I think there's still stories to be told in that world, and so we will see. But yeah, I hope it'll be good. I mean, I think the seeing Diane Keaton, Eugene Levy, Ty Burrell, like, we haven't seen anything from any of those new characters, which is, I think, why you felt that way about the trailer, about it feeling like very nostalgic, and because we haven't seen anything. Have we even seen character design?
I don't think so. No, not that I recall anyway.
No, I don't think so. So it's interesting.
Excuse me, just 1 second. I want to check. Okay. Sorry, I look kind of dark down there.
No, you're fine. The only other thing that worries me about Finding Dory is that, like, you take a character that's really charming as a side character, and now she's the lead in the film. I'm like, after Minions, I guess I'm a little nervous about that, because it's just certain things are better in small doses, and like, how many jokes can we really have about Dory forgetting everything, and like, is that character really top billing material? I don't know, but I think they've, you have a problem. Like, I am a defender of Cars 2. I don't think it's as bad as most people say it is.
Yeah, me neither.
But I did get a little Mater overload. And so that's my only worry, is that we will have kind of the Mater situation where we get a little too much of Dory since she's the lead.
The question for me in that is, like, do I not like Mater or do I not like Larry the Cable Guy? And that's what I'm trying to figure out. Because I'm not the biggest fan of Mater either, but I don't know if that's the character, like the way he's written, or if it's just I don't like Larry the Cable Guy. So, because I'm not really the biggest fan of him either.
Yeah, I think he works better as a small little part than. Yeah, it's a little much with him leading, but I agree with Mark. He says the more I see it, the more I like Cars 2. It's not as bad as people make it sound. It really isn't. So okay, so let's move on. The next is the 8th of July, and this will be interesting because it's very similar to last year where we had Pixar in June and then Illumination in July. In this case, it's an original property from Illumination, and it's The Secret Life of Pets. And this is directed by Chris Minod, who co-directed the Despicable Me movies. It features Louis C.K., Eric Stonestreet, Kevin Hart, Steve Coogan, Ellie Kemper, and more. And basically the summary is Max learns his lesson when his master brings home a new pet, a messy dog named Duke, with whom he must learn to get along with in their Manhattan apartment. The two must team up to stop a white rabbit named Snowball from creating a super army of ownerless pets in order to get revenge on all the pets and owners currently living in happy homes. So I actually had Secret Life of Pets from the first trailer when it was just the pets in the houses, like playing with the KitchenAid and hanging out and stuff like that. I thought, oh, this could be kind of clever and sort of funny. I thought the teaser really worked, and then when we got the trailer with Kevin Hart, the Kevin Hart bunny, and the army of pets, I'm not a fan. I'm not a Kevin Hart fan at all. I think, and especially thinking of his voice performance, just that's a huge turnoff for me. And I just feel like we've seen this story so many times with the animals gathering together, and usually those movies are horrible. Like your what's that one called? Is it Old Boy? Or I don't know. There's been a Cats and Dogs, and there's been a number of live action films that are about pets kind of rebelling and stuff, and usually they're just awful. And after Minions, which I really didn't like, I am nervous about this film. What do you feel about it?
I'm kind of mixed on it, I guess. I don't dislike it as much as a lot of people seem to, like that second trailer. But I'm more excited to see it on a technical level, because I think the movie looks beautiful. I love the character designs, especially that little white puffy dog. I think she looks really good. And I think the character animation is great, and I think the backgrounds look beautiful.
Yeah.
And the story, I don't know. I get a very strong Toy Story vibe from it, but at the same time, derivative stories don't, stories that have the same kind of basic idea don't really bother me as much as they do others. Because I figure, what did they say? There's only 12 basic plots in the world, or something like that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's true. But I guess I don't know. I just feel like I don't know. I just feel like the pets revolting thing ends up being more like Look Who's Talking 3 kind of. It's just, I don't know. I just don't know if I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen the Good Pets Revolting Revolution movie yet. So maybe this will be it. Maybe this will be the film that will convince me. But I was more excited when I thought that Louis C.K. and Eric Stonestreet were going to be the focus. But then when that Kevin Hart trailer, and that really oh no, because I am just not a fan. So I wonder if this will be a big, it'll depend on how you like Kevin Hart or not.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do. His movies make a lot of money. So it's just not for me. I just find him really annoying.
I guess it sort of goes back to what we were saying about Jack Black and Larry the Cable Guy. They're all very strong personalities, and they're not for everybody, so.
Yeah, Mark says, really not looking forward to this Pets film at all. Kevin Hart feels so miscast, as does everyone else. So there you go. But yeah, I do agree. The animation looks nice, and it is a lot of talented people involved, so hopefully it'll be good. But yeah, we will see. We will see. Okay, the next one is another one I'm not looking forward to. Let's see, 22nd of July, we have Ice Age 5. And this is Blue Sky. It's directed by Mike Thurmeyer, who directed 3 and 4. And it has same returning cast, and Jesse Tyler Ferguson, Adam Devine, Nick Offerman, and others are coming. And the summary we got: Scratch adventures into space sets off a series of events that threatened Manny and the rest of the herd down on Earth, forcing them to leave behind their home. On their journey, they discover an exotic place led by its spiritual leader, Shangri-Lama. Shangri-Lama. Oh my gosh.
Name. It's like, holy cow. It makes me laugh, but not for the right reasons.
So what do you feel about Ice Age 5?
Well, if I recall, it's based on that short that they played before the Peanuts movie, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
It sounds like that was sort of the prequel to the movie. Scratch adventures into space sets off a series of events.
All right. Like, I like that. I actually like that short. I know I'm in the minority on that, judging from talking to other people, but I liked it kind of in the way I like a Looney Tunes short. It kind of felt like it had the same kind of style of humor and stuff, and I thought, oh, this is really cool if it didn't have a whole another sequel coming after it. You know, like...
If it had been the first I'd seen of Scrat, then I think I might have felt that way, but it's just such a tired gag at this point. The acorn and it's like, oh, now he's in space. I don't know. But I can see what you're saying. It definitely has that kind of Warner Brothers appeal.
Yeah. But I'm not excited to see the movie, that's for sure. Like I said, maybe the sport has caught me on a good day. I wonder sometimes. But
yeah, Mark says Ice Age 5. Oh boy, what is there to say? I know. I'm like, oh my gosh. And he says, I feel the Ice Age franchise is the worst in terms of celebrity voice actors. They marinate their films in celeb voice actors for the sake of celeb voice actors. Hard to argue with that. It really is. And I don't know. I even saw the first one recently. I rewatched it, and I didn't think it held up that well. I didn't. I mean, it's fine, but I didn't think it was. I mean, if I'd seen that and you were gonna tell me that this was to spawn 5 movies, I would never have believed you.
Yeah.
I would never have believed you. And it just seems like such a shame when Blue Sky had such a great film last year that I loved the Peanuts movie so much, and it was in my top 5 of the whole year, and I saw 97 films last year, and I just loved it so much, and so it seems like a bummer that now Ice Age 5.
In a way, and I'm not saying this is what happened, because how do I know? I don't work for Blue Sky, but it almost sounds like the situation Ed Catmull described in Creativity Inc. when they were making A Bug's Life and Toy Story 2 at the same time.
Yeah.
But I think Pixar handled it really well, because they said, okay, we've got this movie that Disney doesn't care as much about, Toy Story 2, but we're still going to make it as good as we can make it because we don't want to put out a substandard product. And it eventually became a great movie.
Right.
And I just hope Blue Sky kind of did the same thing, because it kind of feels like the same scenario.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we've got this big movie we're working on, and then we got this sequel over here. I just hope they took the same kind of attitude that Pixar did.
Yeah, it's a good point, and I just hope that it does something funny and something creative. But yeah, I'm not optimistic on Ice Age 5, but we'll see. Who knows? I did not like 4. Did you see 4?
I did not. I haven't seen any since the first movie. So.
4 was bad. It just was boring, and I don't know. Okay, so then on August 12th, we have Sausage Party. This is by Sony, and is directed by Greg Tiernan, Conrad Vernon, who directed Monsters vs. Aliens and Madagascar 3. And it has Seth Rogen, Jonah Hill, James Franco, Kristen Wiig, Edward Norton, Michael Cera, and more. And basically, one sausage's quest to discover the truth about his existence after After falling out of a shopping cart, our hero Sausage and his new friends embark on a perilous journey through the supermarket to get back to their aisles before the 4th of July sale. I don't know, what are you thinking about Sausage Party?
I don't know. I heard the title. I'm like, oh, it's that kind of movie, you know. Like, and I don't think it's gonna be as raunchy as the title makes it seem, but
Right.
I am not sure. You know, like the voice cast, like kind of makes me wonder.
Yeah,
Like,
it does. They have that. I don't know. I've seen like which film of 2000 of the year sounds most like a porno film.
yeah,
This one will definitely get that prize this year for sure. But it's it's probably the one film this year I probably won't see. I'm guessing it's going to be a really hard R. But maybe not. Maybe you're right, and maybe it won't be. But that's just the vibe I've gotten.
it's like,
And I tend to, especially comedies. Like, it's one thing if it's like an Anomalisa or something like that. That's more like, I feel like I compromise a little bit more on like something that I can learn from and I can be, that will add something to my life. But if it's just a comedy that's really foul, and then I'm gonna pass on that.
yeah,
You know what
like
I'm saying?
yeah, like even I don't know. Like it feels like that's a kind of a cheap move that most filmmakers do, like that raunchy comedy kind of thing. Like I actually like some of them, like A Night at the Roxbury. I actually like that movie. That's kind of raunchy at some points,
Yeah,
but
I haven't seen that one.
but it's kind of I don't know. Most of the time, it feels like a cheap move or
Yeah.
like to shock the audience, and I don't like being manipulated like that.
I agree. I wonder if this will kind of end up being like to Hell and Back that was last year that like just completely
Yeah.
disappeared and no one talks about. That was evidently super raunchy and really mean spirited and awful, and so yeah, I probably would see that. It says Mark says, I'm passing on Sausage Party as it seems too raunchy for me. Oh, also forgot to mention that astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson is a voice in Ice Age 5. What? Doesn't he have stuff to do?
Oh no, Alan
Oh,
Menken is doing the music and the songs for it too. I don't
that
believe
is really random. That is really random.
that seems like
Uh,
the last person you would go to.
yeah, I
Or-
guess you go way back to like to Little Shop of Horrors. There's a little bit of that sort of. I mean, it's not raunchy, I wouldn't say, but it's a little more adult, I guess. But
that's true, and I love the Little Shop of Horror soundtrack.
me
But it
too.
seems like the last person you would think to go to, I guess, since he's so associated with Disney.
Yeah, I know. You'd think you'd go to like even a Danny Elfman or someone like that.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, the next one is this is August 19th, and it is Kubo and the Two Strings. This is directed by Travis Knight, and I am so excited to see what he does because he's basically the reason why Leica exists. Because he was an animator, his father owns Nike, and created Leica basically for his son, and he's been an animator. He's been a very effective animator, and so this is his first director. And I just feel like maybe feels like he has something to prove a little bit. Like he's been the guy with the golden goose a little bit, and what is he going to do? And then the trailers have just blown me away. This is my tied most anticipated animated film of the year. We'll get to my most anticipated later on, but I love the trailers, and it has Matthew McConaughey, Charlize Theron, Rooney Mara, Ralph Fiennes, and I'll just read it. It says, the story is set in ancient Japan, where a young boy named Kubo cares for his mother in a village. A spirit from the past turns Kubo's life upside down by reigniting an age-old vendetta. This causes all sorts of havoc as gods and monsters chase Kubo, who, in order to survive, must locate a magical suit of armor once worn by his late father, a legendary samurai warrior. That sounds great to me.
Yeah, it does. I love the epic style of like every one of the trailers so far. Like
Yeah.
it feels like a really big story, and I
It's
really,
so different than anything Leica has done. So
yeah,
different.
yeah. It's just, and like the other thing about the trailers, and I actually mentioned this in the Rotoscopers Patreon group because I'm kind of a pop music nerd, and especially when it comes to oldies.
Yeah.
I love how they retooled the Beatles song "While My Guitar Gently Weeps" for the second trailer. It's like,
Good
hey, that's
point.
really clever because like the guitar is like a very big thing apparently. The movie is called Kubo and the Two Strings.
Right.
I was like, hey, I see what you did there, basically, and I really like that.
I really did too. I really, really liked that. And I just thought the water scenes look amazing. And I'm so excited. It just seems so creative and different. And oh, I think and it's not a movie like I liked the Box Trolls a lot. A lot of people didn't get into it, didn't gel with them, but it was a movie with a very strong message about
Yeah,
class and how we identify ourselves and people with hats and without hats and sort of things like that. I really thought it was cool, but this just feels like a great story. Like there may be a message, I'm sure there will be, but it's not a messaging film, if that makes sense.
yeah. Like I feel like it has not a different vibe, but like a different style of story, I guess, than Leica is usually done. Like the other
Yeah,
Leica movies feel very small, I guess, like in scale, like
yeah,
Paranormal or the Box Trolls, and this doesn't feel small at all when you watch it. It looks like a big, sprawling, epic story, which is
yeah.
really,
I mean, it was almost like the Box Trolls was an allegory. Really, that's kind of what I was trying to say. It's almost like it's an allegory about class and how we identify ourselves and things. And this just feels like you're saying, an epic story. And I just find it really interesting, that it's set in Japan and it's going to have all of those elements of the samurai and just going to be something new and different that we've never seen before. I hope. I'm very, very hyped on it, and I I don't know. I just think it sounds really creative.
yeah,
So, and Mark says, Kubo is the first Leica film that I'm excited for. It looks gorgeous. So, yay! And I just hope it does well, and I hope it's good. Uh, okay. And somebody did bring up the point that it is a little bit annoying that you have a story about Japan. There are no Japanese actors in the film. It's a little annoying, but
I think
there's
that's
George Takei, which is kind of the token Asian, but
yeah. I think that's inevitably going to be brought up whenever you have anybody who's
yeah.
Caucasian in any movie that's
Well, I
set.
mean, you look at it's the same with all of the Ghibli dubs. It's not like they're getting Asian American actors or anything like that. Kung Fu Panda is all white Caucasian actors for the most part. There's a few, Jackie Chan, Lucy Liu, but it's just the way it is, unfortunately. Mulan had mostly a white cast.
Yeah.
So, oh well. All right, so then we have that's the last one for the summer. So that'll finish off the summer. And I feel like that's a good place for them. They'll be far enough away from Secret Life of Pets, far enough away from Finding Dory. I feel like it could do well, hopefully. And so then we have on September 23rd, we have Storks, and this is from Warner Animation, who did Lego Movie, and it is directed by Nicholas Stoller, who has done live action work before with Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and Doug Sweetland, who is first time director. He's done some direct to DVD. And then we have in the cast Andy Samberg, Kelsey Grammer, Keegan Michael Key, Jordan Peele. And the story is, instead of delivering babies, storks now deliver packages for an internet retailer. When a stork named Junior accidentally produces an unauthorized baby, he must fix the situation before anyone finds out. I don't know. What do you think about Storks?
I actually just saw the trailer for the first time today while I was doing
Yeah,
some catch up for this video that we're doing, and I thought, hey, I like this a lot better than I thought I was gonna like it. You
me
know,
too.
like physical comedy and slapstick comedy. Like I know some people just dismiss it out of hand, but I think it
Hmm.
could be really well done if you get the right pace and you have the right, I guess, vibe to it. Like I love like this stuff like the conveyor belt churning out the babies, but it's going too fast and stuff like that. It reminded me very much of something like out of I Love Lucy, like that chocolate factory scene from that one episode of I Love Lucy, or something from the Pink Panther, like the '60s movies. It's
Yeah.
like how you do physical comedy well, you know.
Yeah, I think that I liked the trailer a lot as well. I really thought it was funny, and I thought the animation looked really bright and colorful, and I think Kelsey Grammer looks like a good choice. And so I was excited. I thought it seemed like a good teaser. I think this summary that they gave, that makes me a little worried because I feel like we've had the baby lost in the world story a lot. We've had it in Monsters Inc. We've had it in the first Ice Age movie. We've had it, and so I don't know. I just feel like, I hope that that is good, but hopefully it will be good.
Yeah, like I was really happy to see like I saw the stork like in like publicity images, and for some reason he's like, ugh, that looks almost like Norm, but Norm of the North. I hope he isn't like that kind of character.
I hope so too. I
And
hope
so
that for every character, that nothing is like Norm of the North. Oh my gosh,
that's true.
I have nightmares.
But like when I heard Kelsey Grammer's voice, like, oh, that makes me feel better. That's not
Hmm.
anything like that's a lot better than I was expecting. You
It
know.
seems like really good casting. So yeah, hopefully it will be good. And they did Lego. This is their follow up Warner Animation. So
And I
that
think, oh, sorry.
no, I just so that's promising since I really loved Lego. I thought it was just so great.
Yeah. And I personally think that when it comes to feature films, Warner Brothers animation is really underrated. Like even their worst movies aren't that bad. Like I think Space Jam is probably their least best movie, but even that's watchable.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, what have they done? They've done Happy Feet, right? Or is that Paramount?
I think that might be Paramount, but I
Yeah,
could be wrong.
Paramount. Paramount. What are some of their others?
Like like I was thinking like the Iron Giant, Batman Mask of the
Oh,
Phantasm,
oh, yeah.
like that. Like they kind of fall down on the marketing, and I think that's why they're underrated because they don't really give their good movies or any other movies the kind of the marketing they deserve. But the movies themselves are always really, really good, or at
Yeah,
least watchable.
that's the same problem that Aardman has. They make great movies and they just can't seem to market them very well. It's very
Yeah,
frustrating. Let's see, Mark says, the Storks trailer has sold me. I love the fast animation and colors, and the story isn't all that bad either. I'm just curious as to who is voicing the girl since that hasn't been announced. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. I think, oh, wait, no, yeah, that's true. I just had all male voices. So, okay, so then we get all the way until November. This is November 4th. We have Trolls, DreamWorks' second offering of the year. Directed by Mike Mitchell, Walt Dorn, who did Shrek Forever After, and which I have not seen. And then they have Anna Kendrick, Justin Timberlake, Gwen Stefani, James Corden, Russell Brand, and more. And the summary is Princess Poppy and Branch venture far beyond the only world they have ever known, and their quest will test their strength and reveal their true colors. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest dream. I like DreamWorks, I do, but their comedies I'm not the biggest fan of, and Trolls I'm not. I wasn't feeling that good about it to begin with. Like, you're taking these dolls, which were like do kids even play with trolls? Do they even know what that, like, that seems like something from when I was little. Do they still, like, can you still buy them? Are they still a thing?
I don't think they're much of a thing. Like, I've seen them around, but I think they're more like collector's items for like adults.
Yeah. Like, I had them when I was little, but that's like going way. I'm not that old, but it's going back. I mean, that seemed like a really weird choice. Like, I would think you'd be more likely to make a Barbie, like make a not a live action, make a theatrical release Barbie movie, or make a, I don't know. There's just so many other things that seem to be a lot more relevant. That's the word I'm looking for. Relevant than trolls. And just that whole description of their quest to find their true colors. I mean, it just is this Cabbage Patch movie, or I mean, not Cabbage Patch, Care Bears movie. That's what it sounds like.
I hope it's not Care Bears movie. Like,
it sounds. I mean, that sounds like a Care Bears movie.
Like
that description.
Like, we're both Rotoscopers patrons, so you know this. And if anybody watching is not a Rotoscopers patron, you should be.
Yes.
I've mentioned on our Facebook page, our patron page, many times that I am not a fan of Care Bears or the Care Bears movie. So that comparison just turns me off immediately.
Even make the My Little Pony movie this year. Like that's. I guess that's Hasbro, so they couldn't do it. But I don't know. It just seems like a weird choice, and I am just not that excited about the directing team, the voices. I'm like, eh. And then when the trailer came out, how did you respond to the trailer? What did you think of it?
I saw it and well, there was a twerking thing, and I wasn't a fan of that. But then, other than that, it was like, it didn't feel like it had any personality to it. Like, I watched them, like, I still don't really know anything about this movie.
Right.
You know? It's like, I still don't know what to think.
Like, the movie could be good. Like, you can never judge it by a trailer, but as a trailer, if I'm just reviewing a trailer, it was a horrible trailer. The twerking, the song choice that they picked, the way that the trolls looks really lame, and I didn't like Home last year, and so this just looks even worse, and I thought it was a terrible trailer. And then there was,
and then there was that whole Twitter hullabaloo with that one story artist who was like, that is nothing like our movie.
Yeah.
You know.
Why don't you say a little bit about what she said, just if people don't know?
It was something like, oh, marketing. I think marketing likes to make our movies look bad. It's like there's no twerking, there's nothing like that, and there's nothing like that at all in our movie at all. That was basically it. That's all I recall anyway. But,
somebody put pen to paper and or whatever and drew that twerk or created it in the computer. That wasn't the marketers who made it, so yeah. I don't know.
I just read that one tweet and I thought, boy, if I was in marketing, I would be T.O.'d right now. You know? It's like, yeah, they would have to hold me back if I was in marketing.
Yes.
And I read that online.
Okay, so are you hearing a back? Echo of what I'm saying?
I am not. No.
Okay. Now it's gone away. For a second, I was hearing an echo of everything I was saying. So Mark says, Trolls, no thanks. Next. I think someone who worked on Trolls announced that they just put these teaser out because they had to show something, but the movie is not supposed to be like that with those actions or those music choices. I was hearing the echo. Okay. I think hopefully it's gone. That was weird. So hopefully they'll redeem it. Okay, good. It's gone. All right. So then we get to the 23rd. So this will be a Thanksgiving release, and it is Moana, and it is, of course, from Disney. It's directed by Ron Clement, John Musker, who did Aladdin and Princess and the Frog, and it features the only voice talent that I know of, I mean, there's other voice talent, but the one that I recognize, of course, is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Maui. And the description we got is, in ancient Oceania, in the South Pacific, the young Moana, a born navigator, sets sail in search of a fabled island. During her journey, she teams up with her hero, the legendary demigod Maui. I am so excited for this movie. I can't wait. This is my most anticipated film of the year. I mean, if you were making a movie for Rachel that would be just the kind of thing I love, put in a dash of princess, a dash of Hawaii, a dash of water, a water exploration thing, and make it a Disney film, and you've got it. And this just looks like it was made for me. It's like they took notes out of my head, and I am so excited. And Lin-Manuel, who's the guy who wrote the recent smash Hamilton, he's really involved in the music, and so that's another thing. Like, if you're gonna take it out of me and make my dream movie, like, this just seems so great. I'm so excited, and she seems like a really interesting character. And you've got these great directors in Ron Clements and John Musker, and you've got this authentic Tahitian style music that we're gonna get, and because I don't know, how do you feel about Moana? What is your anticipation of it?
Like, I'm really excited for it too, and the biggest reason why is because I'm a huge fan of Ron Clements and John Musker. They haven't made a movie I haven't liked, like, ever. I like all of them.
Yeah.
Or haven't loved ever, really, because I love all of them, actually. But there's that, and also the music really stood out to me too, even before I knew that the guy from Hamilton was doing, like, the songs and the music and stuff, because I love the Hamilton soundtrack as well. Like, this is really unique. It's really distinctive, and that was, like, the first thing that stood out to me when I watched, like, the footage that we've seen from Moana.
Yeah, from D23.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm figuring that they're waiting on giving us a teaser until after Zootopia. They don't want it to they want to just focus on Zootopia right now. Yeah. But I'll be so excited when I see that trailer. I bet it'll be on Zootopia. It'll be a trailer running during Zootopia. And yeah, it just looks like a really cool story, and Hawaii is my favorite place in the whole world, and so I'm really excited to see them go there. And this I think it's cool that they're telling a princess story, but it's not based on a fairy tale.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I don't know, it just seems like it has, like, a unique vibe compared to other Disney princesses.
I mean, I guess technically she's not a princess, but I would say this falls in the Mulan kind of camp of a story about an ordinary girl who does something, goes on this adventure, goes on this thing. So I think it's a Disney princess movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I like how you were saying, like, Moana seems really unique. I also think Maui seems like really a unique character. You don't hear about a washed-up demigod all that much, which I think is intriguing. It's like, how do you become washed up when you're half god? Yeah,
I mean, it could be really funny. Like, I know, I almost thought, like, Gusteau in Ratatouille, and how there's, obviously, he's a live thing, but kind of the way he sort of gives advice and is sort of there for sort of humor and encouragement and kind of things like that. I wonder if it'll be a little bit like that, kind of. But yeah, I mean, it seems like a property from what I saw from The Rock at D23 that he's, like, really invested in. Like, he loves this property. He is part Samoan, I think.
I think
something
so,
like that, yeah. And so it's something that's kind of close to his heritage and close to his heart, and so that never hurts. And there's just no reason not to be excited about this film, in my opinion. There's nothing I've seen that has made me concerned at all. Everything has just been like, yay! So So Mark says, I'm more excited for Zootopia than Moana. Maybe once we get a Moana trailer, I'll be more interested. I didn't like Dwayne Johnson as a voice actor from Planet 51. And she's the daughter of her chief, isn't she? So that's a princess like Pocahontas. Okay, that could be right. I'm not sure. Do you know?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I haven't heard that. Like, honestly, I feel like you do like maybe after Zootopia we're gonna get a lot more information about Moana.
Yeah.
Because I want to know more about this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And like, in a way, like Moana is my second most anticipated movie of the year after Zootopia. I feel the same way about Zootopia, like that you do about Moana. Like, I love buddy movies, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I love action movies. I'm like, all right, we're getting a Disney action movie, you know. And that just seems like it's template for me.
Yeah.
But Moana, I just want to know more, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I've been thinking. Like, give me more Disney.
Me too. And plus, it's cool, even though it's not an African American character or it's a little bit more diversity within the Disney world as well, which is always nice to see. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we only have one more. Last one. This is coming on the 21st of December. It is Sing from Illumination, and it is directed by Garth Jennings, and he has a live-action background including Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and Son of Rambo, which I guess was pretty clever. And it's voiced by Matthew McConaughey, Reese Witherspoon, Seth MacFarlane, John C. Reilly, Taron Egerton, Scarlett Johansson, and more. And all I found on this was a koala named Buster hires a black sheep who is also his best friend to help him run his business of a theater. So, have you heard anything about this? Do you know anything about it?
I don't know a whole lot about it. Like, I've seen the poster for it, and I love the vibe that the poster has. It's like an old theater with like a marquee out in front. It says "Sing" on it, and that kind of reminds me of like an old '40s musical almost. Like that poster, like something like a Mickey Rooney, Judy Garland kind of let's put on a show kind of musical, you know?
Yeah.
And I like that vibe. And like Mark said in the comment, it's like a jukebox musical, which I don't. And those intrigue me. I know that's kind of like an unpopular view. Like, I know a lot of people aren't fans of jukebox musicals for whatever reason, but that intrigues me also.
I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of people weren't fans of Strange Magic, but I don't think that it could have been. My problem with Strange Magic is that there are a lot of problems with Strange Magic, but the writing was really dopey, and the problem with it is that it picked songs that were so on the nose. They were so uncreative. They didn't add anything to the story. Like, if someone's saying, I'm wild, and then all of a sudden they start singing Wild Thing, like, that's just redundant. It's not anything new. It's not that creative, you know? Whereas, like, even in something like Happy Feet, the songs are actually kind of telling you a little bit about the story, and they're a little bit more creative and, like, different songs than we've heard. I mean, how many movies have had Wild Thing in it, you know? It's like, oh my gosh. And so, I don't know, I just felt like, I feel like it can be done in an entertaining way. It can be good, but it just, so I think maybe people are a little soured on it because of Strange Magic, but
So that's,
I don't know.
there's going into the live action and stage world. There's stuff like Jersey Boys and stuff like that, which is awesome. And then we're getting Beatles animated film, which I'm super excited for. Whenever we get that, I think it's still in development, but I'm not sure.
Mark says, I'm so interested in Sing. I love the jukebox musical aspect of it. That's supposed to have 85 songs in it. Holy cow. I also like the plot, as I don't think I've seen an animated film with that type of plot. I'm also interested in the voice cast. It's awesome that Seth MacFarlane will make his voice animated feature film debut. That's crazy that he hasn't been in anything before this. That seems like he would have with his Family Guy. I think they canceled the Yellow Submarine reboot film, AJ, if that's what you're talking about. Interesting.
Oh, actually, that's not the film I was talking about, because I remember that one. Robert Zemeckis was going to direct that, and it was going to be like a mocap Yellow Submarine movie. But this is
Oh,
different. It's going to be called Meet the Beatles. I think it's going to be like a Hard Day's Night, like that movie, like a musicalized version of something like that. So,
interesting. Interesting.
yeah. But
That's
anyway,
cool. Yeah.
back to
So I, I yeah, I mean, one of the cool things about this year in animated films is that you really only have 3 sequels. You've got Finding Dory, Ice Age 5, Kung Fu Panda 3. The rest is all original properties. And so that's actually kind of exciting.
yeah, I
That
think
you have all of these studios that are at least trying new things.
yeah, I think it's exciting too. Like I was reading a book about Hollywood marketing lately. It's called Sleepless in Hollywood, and it's like
Mhm.
stories from the new abnormal is its subtitle. And it was a producer who's talking about how marketing for like live action films has changed. People don't like a lot of executives don't want to do original movies anymore because they think they're too risky and they can't sell them internationally as well. And it's interesting. It seems like animation is kind of picking up the slack that live action is leaving behind in terms of like original stories and things like that.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's just because executives don't put as much stock in animation or they figure, oh, it'll sell no matter what. But I'm really glad, whatever it is, I'm glad to see lots of original stories in animation.
Well, and I think it's also because you have a lot of cinematic universes in live action that's sort of the new thing, that's sort of everyone's trying to be Marvel. And you have even like supposedly there's gonna be a Ghostbusters cinematic universe. Everyone's trying to create a world. Everyone's trying to world build, and instead of just trying to make a individual animated film, and that's something that Disney was always just a leader about. And maybe that's part of the reason why you see it in animation more than others is that Disney has only had, and as far as Walt Disney Animated Studios, has only had 1 sequel. There's the direct-to-DVD sequels, but as far as their official theatrical releases, that's pretty from Walt Disney Animated Studios. That's pretty impressive. Pixar kind of has changed that, but then they have made really high quality sequels. But yeah, I just think that there's less of an emphasis of we don't need to make a Disney cinematic universe.
Yeah.
And maybe Disney is so preoccupied with remaking their animated films in live action that they don't worry about making as many sequels and reboots and things like that in
Yeah,
animation. I don't know.
maybe I can't talk. Maybe Disney doesn't worry about the cinematic universe as much because fans already make that up themselves.
Yeah, you're right.
Stuff like the famous if you listen to the Animation Addicts podcast, another rotoscopers plug,
the Vortex, yeah.
which Mason Smith pioneered, and I embellished on one of our patron podcasts. So,
Yeah, and of course there's the Pixar theory too.
yes.
That they're all connected. Yeah, so I think that's really, really cool is that we are getting new ideas, we're getting fresh ideas. The only thing that kind of bums me out about this year is I think the comedies all look kind of lame, but hopefully a few of them will surprise me. And I also it's a little sad that there are only 2 traditional animated films that are being released. One of them was made in 1991, only yesterday, and then the April An Extraordinary World by G-Kids. Hopefully there's a couple others G-Kids will introduce, but that's all they have on their website right now. And so that makes me a little sad. I wish that we had. I believe I'm not one of those people who are like 2D animation is dead, but I do think that that it's certainly. I wish that we got more of it, so I'll say that. I wish we got it outside of just television. Is really where we get 2D these days. So it's too bad.
Like you
All
were
right.
saying, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I just like we were saying before we got started, you got to hand it to Ron Clements and John Musker, though. Like we were saying, I think Moana is their first CG animated movie.
Yeah.
You've got to admire them for holding out this long, and even trying to make Moana in 2D, even though that didn't work out.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So, you know, hopefully maybe we'll get something weird from Bill Plimpton or just somebody like that, you know, who knows what's out there. But that is all I had on the calendar. And but I think there's a lot. So you're most excited about Zootopia, and what would be your top 5 as far as looking forward to?
My top 5. Let's see.
Yeah.
There's Zootopia and Moana, and these are in no particular order. And then I think The Little Prince looks really cool. Like once I saw the like I wasn't like super excited for that until I saw the trailer because I haven't read the book before. But I saw that trailer and I'm like, ooh, this looks really cool, and like the story sounds neat and it looks really beautiful too.
Yeah.
And then after that, let me see what was else on the calendar.
Like Kubo, Finding Dory.
Oh, Kubo looks really cool also. I'm excited to see like a big, epic animated movie. That's something I've been waiting for. And then
Finding Dory.
Yeah, Finding Dory. Just for that nostalgic reasons, because I'm excited to see those characters again. And the trailer just made me feel really good. Like I said, it gave me that warm, nostalgic feeling. So. And I'm excited to see where Pixar goes in that world, like what new places they go.
Yeah, so for me, I have my top 5 I've anticipated is Moana, and then Kubo, and then Zootopia, and then, or actually I'd probably say Finding Dory, then Zootopia, and then I'll throw one to April in the Extraordinary World, because it looks pretty cool. So, yeah, and then Mark says, my top 5, no order, Zootopia, Kubo, Sing, Finding Dory, and Kung Fu Panda 3. So, all right, well, thank you so much. I think it's been really fun. And it'll be, you know what we should do is, like, at the 6-month mark or something, we should do another one and kind of see how things have been so far. And then maybe one at the end of the year and kind of a wrap-up.
Yeah, definitely. I'd be down with that.
That would be fun. So... all right, cool. Do you want to plug your blog, your social media? Where can people find you?
Oh, sure. You can follow me on Twitter at surferjohnny25. Kind of a weird Twitter handle, but I was just a teenager when I made it. So, and then my blog is Listelaneous21 at blogspot.com. And miscellaneous is spelled the same as miscellaneous, except put list in instead of the MISC.
Well, and I'll have a link to it in the description section of the video, and also to your Twitter. I'll have a link on there. You can find me at Smiling LDS Girl on all social media, and you can find, like I said, both of us on rotoscopers.com. AJ much more than me. I'm just starting. And then Mark, who's been participating with us, you can find his blog at the Animation Commendation, his Twitter, and he has a great series where he talks about forgotten characters in Disney and Pixar films. So you want to check out that. I'll have a link down to his blog in the descriptions. And yeah, that should be really good. And thanks so much for doing this with me. I really appreciate it.
Well, yeah, thank you for inviting me. It's been a blast.
Yeah, it's been really fun. Well, please subscribe to my channel, and I will look forward to you guys' feedback when you see this video, and we'll look forward to a good year, 2016. So, thanks. Bye.